People, which this, the 280th episode, I was having a very spiritual, dare I say, enlightened conversation with our guest today, Tim Fitzpatrick. We didn't even talk about how to grow a wholesale distribution company, but we did talk about whether or not anger can be a gift. It's complicated. Just in time for some social media news of the day. Let's start with Google launching a program to hire more people with autism. This is coming from disabilityscoop.com. All links to all articles are in the description. Google is teaming up with Stanford in an effort to make its workforce more neurodiverse. This is a term you may have been hearing lately. Neurotypical describes folks that don't have things like autism, ADHD, etc. The technology giant said recently that it's launching a new program aimed at bringing more people with autism into its cloud workforce and supporting them better with Google Cloud's Autism Career Program. The company said that it will work with experts from the Stanford Neurodiversity Project, part of the university's medical school, to train as many as 500 Google Cloud managers and others who are integral in the hiring process to work more effectively with candidates who have autism. As a father of a son who has autism, I obviously am for this. As someone who identifies as on the spectrum, don't know if you've noticed that about me, yeah, I think this is pretty cool. You've got a lot of folks with Asperger's syndrome. You have folks like me who play 6 instruments, speak 3 languages, own a company, wrote a book, and did a whole bunch of other stuff, but feel pretty weird in social situations. This sort of stuff is pretty cool. So good for them. Good for you, Google. BaltimoreSun.com wiretaps for Facebook. Maryland authorities are getting permission to tap digital and social media apps. Yeesh. In pursuit of suspected drug traffickers last year, authorities in Hartford County took the investigative step of getting a judge's permission to listen in on the target's phone conversations. But in a rare move, they were also able to secure a wiretap for his Facebook page. Oh me, oh my. Enabling them to listen in on audio calls placed through the app and monitor activity on the social networking site. You don't have privacy. Did you know that? You don't have it because it doesn't exist. Everything is in the matrix. You don't have privacy. You understand? At the end of the day, if the authorities want your information, they's going to take your information. That's from the BaltimoreSun.com. Finally, NBCNews.com. Some praise, some doubts as Facebook rolls out a prayer tool. Facebook began testing the feature in the US in December as part of an ongoing effort to support faith communities. The social media giant has rolled out a new prayer request feature, a tool embraced by some religious leaders as a cutting-edge way to engage the faithful online. Others are eyeing it warily as they weigh its usefulness against the privacy and security concerns they have with Facebook. My big question is, what the heck does it mean? It says Facebook groups who are using the feature can use it to rally prayer power for upcoming job interviews, illnesses, and other personal challenges, big and small. After they create a post, other users can tap an I prayed button. So it's not as if we know exactly what they're praying or you can hear that sort of thing, praying out loud, etc. But they can click an I prayed button, which to me is just a button, and that's totally fine. Quote, Facebook and other social media platforms continue to be tremendous tools to spread the gospel, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Do I believe in the power of the human mind? Of course I do. I'd be crazy not to. Our guest today, Mr. Tim Fitzpatrick. He grew a wholesale distribution company incredibly well, ended up starting his own agency. We're going to be asking him all kinds of questions. I can tell you from our conversation backstage that he is a 100% enlightened being. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Fitzpatrick.
Hey. Thanks for having me, Kellen. I'm happy to be here.
So what's it like being completely calm in your mind, having achieved nirvana at this point in your life?
Man, I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet.
What? You're still on the path?
I'm always on the path.
Still on the path.
Yeah, every day's a new day. So I don't know. I look at success as it's a journey, not a destination. So every day I wake up, start all over again.
Yeah. Do you ever wake up and just go, oh, this again?
I have. So you mentioned that I started out in distribution. That was the first business that I got involved in. I became a partner in that. When I got out of that, I got into residential real estate for a while. I had always been interested in it. Wanted to learn it, figured being a realtor would be a great place to learn it. And man, after like 2.5, 3 years of that, I was in that place where I was like waking up every day going, oh my God, I got to do this all over again. This sucks. It's a great profession for some people. It was not a good fit for me. And when I got to that place, I was like, man, I gotta shift gears, because there's no point in owning your own business if you're going to wake up feeling like that every day. So
I was listening to a Gary Vaynerchuk video the other day, and he was on stage, and there was some guy in the audience who said, I'm currently making a little bit more in my side hustle than I am my full-time job. I don't know when to make the jump. I just, And Gary's like, do it now. And everyone's like, oh, bravo, bravo. and Gary says to the crowd, he's like, stop clapping, stop it. He's like, he might fail. You know what I mean? Like, this dude could totally crash and burn, and none of us know if that's going to happen. So before you get all like, yay, risk taking, how about have a sober, take on reality?
Well, I think it helps. As entrepreneurs, I think we need to be realistic. I think it's easy for us to, have our head in the clouds at times. But a dose of reality will keep us on the right path, I think, if that makes sense.
It does. So the question I put on the thumbnail is how to grow a wholesale distribution company. Because 60%, you said you grew that company while you were there?
We grew at about 60% a year for 9 years.
Yeah.
So some years we grew 20%, some years we grew 100%. It was a crazy ride.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So start me off when you got there and walk me all the way through. What are you selling? What was working? Why was it working?
Yeah. So I got involved in this company shortly after I graduated from college. I was the first full-time employee. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to do it long-term, but after 3 months, I was like, dude, this is amazing. I have to keep doing this. I love this. I got involved in the business because my dad was a partner in the business from the beginning. There was a couple other partners. He had started the company. It was related to, he was a manufacturer's rep for over 30 years. And in the early 90s, we were in the consumer electronics business. So we were selling home theater equipment to contractors. So they were installing in production home builders. They were going into high-end homes, doing full home automation, home theaters, distributed audio, that kind of stuff. That was becoming really, really popular in the early 90s. And that shift was much better suited to distribution rather than buying products direct from the manufacturer, because they needed different products for each job. So bringing in a bunch of inventory of the same product, it was not a good use of capital. It was much easier for them to go, hey, I need, these 10 parts for this job. Let me go to buy them through distribution, get the parts right on time, and go out there and install the stuff. So there were a lot of reps like my dad that were in the business that said, we need to start distribution companies to help meet the needs for this market. So he had started the company a couple of years before I graduated from college. I graduated. I was a math major. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Let me help you out for the summer while I figure out what I'm going to do. And, you get some help. And he's like, cool. Well, like I said, 3 months in, at the end of the summer, I'm like, I don't want to do anything else. I love this. Will you allow me to keep doing this? And he said, yes. So I kept doing it. I was the first full-time employee. I managed day-to-day everything that was going on. And in the beginning, it was just me, man. I was like I was wearing all the hats. I was selling. I was paying bills. I was shipping. I was selling. All of it I was doing. And I learned more in 6 months of doing that than I did in 4 years of college. And that was how I got the entrepreneurial bug. That's how it started. And, I was a partner in the company. My dad was a partner. We had an outside partner as well. And I ran day to day, and worked with him strategically, and that's what happened. Now what I will say is some of the growth I think was us, but I can't take all the credit for what happened. I think there's some luck involved there. But you also have to manage well as good opportunities come your way. Otherwise, you can still blow it. And so when we got into the business, it was a really good time. I got in 1996. Flat panel televisions were becoming really popular. And people that, weren't paying attention at that point in time, looking at this today, go, oh, yeah, I can go into Costco and get a 70-inch flat panel for, $2,000. Well, in 1996, in the late 90s, a 50-inch plasma television was $15,000. And those things were going out the door every day, multiple, and so that really started to drive volume for us. But I think there were two things that really helped our business grow significantly. So I'll talk about those two things if you're good with it, because I think it'll help people. First is we took a very value-added approach to our business. So we took the philosophy that if we can help our customers, our dealers grow their business, our business will grow as a result of that. So we did a ton of training on the products, but also just training on business in general, which a lot of people may look at that now and go, gosh, there's all kinds of training out there now, right? But there wasn't at the time when we started doing it. And it helped us build really strong relationships with our customer base. And as their business grew, they naturally started to buy more stuff from us. The second thing that really just shot our business through the roof was relationships. My dad had been in the business for a long time, and there were other reps in the business in other parts of the country. We were only selling in Northern California. Well, there were reps selling in all the territories across the country. It was those relationships that ended up bringing us into a really strong opportunity where we partnered with other distributors across the country. So there was one distributor in each region of the country. We partnered. That allowed us to go to manufacturers and say, hey, Panasonic or whoever it was, you want instant nationwide distribution into the custom installation market, which was our niche market. We have a way for you to do it. And a ton of manufacturers jumped on board with that because our dealer base was very fractured. They didn't advertise. They worked out of their homes. They worked out of commercial facilities. A manufacturer could not economically call on a market like that. They needed to rely on distribution partners to do that. So when we could go to them and say, hey, we've got instant access, we can give you instant access to this market. We do a ton of training so you can come in and get exposure to our dealer base. People raised their hand. And so it was those two things. We brought on a ton of new product lines. Those new product lines allow us to increase our sales, do more business with existing customers. Those are the two things that made the biggest difference in our business.
Yeah, fascinating. We were talking about chess backstage, and you're a math major. And it's funny to me that all you have to do to get rich, I mean, really rich, is like three things. You just have to do them at the right time. But because of our limited perception and the fact that all information that enters into the brain passes through the filter of our brain, I mean, ultraviolet light's hitting you right now. You just don't see it. People's thoughts are in your periphery. You just have no way of accessing them because your tools simply can't measure it. Like the little electrodes in people's heads, they're firing. Yeah. I just have to rely on your voice to translate that for me. And to hear your journey, it's so obvious, oh yeah, just get these local installers. Panasonic has a hard time reaching out to these guys. I mean, you show up, you're like, hey, look, I got access to like 1,000 of these people, and it's like, duh, it makes so much sense. And then of course there's the tears and the blood and the stress and the late nights and everything that goes into establishing that sort of thing. And then there's the undercurrent of human relationships, right? Which is you have to do what you say you're going to do. You have to, listen to remember every motivational speaker you've ever heard and all the wisdom that they've given you over the years and go, yes, do all those things as well. My big question for you is, why would you leave?
Well, because we sold.
Were you part? Did you get any of the money from the sale?
Yes, I did get some money from it. So it's but it was a different kind of sale. I mean, it wasn't just us, right? I told you that there was partners with other distribution companies. So when we sold, we collectively made the decision that we all sold. So when we got bought, they bought the holding company and all 12 distribution companies that were a part of that. So it was honestly, it was I feel blessed to have gone through that experience. I learned so much going through that. It was, it was amazing. I was like a sponge. I just sat there and just soaked up the information as much as I possibly could. But that's why I got out. And I mean, everything has its sunset too. We sold in 2005. We stayed on for another 3 years, and 2008, man, we all know what happened in 2008. So that was a tough time for a lot of people.
So you sell in 2005, pretty good timing. And you walk away with some amount of money. And you go into real estate after the fact? Was that career number 2?
No. So what happened? So I had a 3-year contract after we sold. So a lot of sales people you don't just get your money and walk away. In this case, we had all the partners had 3-year agreements, and we were working for more money. There was an earnout, right? So they paid a portion of the sale up front, and then they were going to pay different kickers on the back end, depending on how much the business grew. So we all stayed on for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, I decided to stay on. So my wife and I was born and raised in Northern California. We said, hey, you know what? Let's move. It's time to get out, do something, move. So we moved to Denver. I moved with the company to Denver. And in early 2009, I ended up getting laid off. So I got laid off from the company that bought us. It was, again, the 2008 financial crisis. In early 2009, the company closed about 30% of the branch locations that we had across the country. And I got downsized. So, you're sitting there, I'm looking at you and you're like, oh my gosh, it's not as uncommon as people think to get laid off by the company that bought you. They did me a favor at that time. You had asked me about, hey, have you ever woken up where you're like, God, I got to do this again? I was getting to that place. I was traveling more than I expected I was going to. And I was like, man, I really need to do something different. And they forced my hand to do something different. So that's how that chapter ended. And I went on to the next.
Hey man, I never want to suffer again. I want the suffering to be done. If you can hear me.
Yeah.
I do. I want it to be done. Okay. I'll be honest with you. There's a DMX quote, rest in peace, where he says, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. And it's the curriculum of this particular incarnation is such that as long as we identify with the body, the suffering is just impossible to bear. But if we can somehow extricate ourselves from that and find meaning beyond just the body, then we go, okay, then there's something here. I'm a big believer in life as a classroom, right? Like it's a classroom. And you can call it a test, you can call it a quiz, you can call it whatever you want. But it's relentless, and it's relentless for everybody, man. I don't care if you're Bezos, dude.
Yeah.
It makes no difference to me. I don't care if you're Bezos or an impoverished quadriplegic in Sri Lanka. The suffering is all relative, and it's ongoing, and it lasts the duration, of the trip. And so with that being said, I feel like I have come to terms with a certain amount of suffering. Like there's an amount of suffering where it's too much. But I sound a lot like you, and I feel like most people do. Like they'll take a suffering episode and then they'll say, no, it's for the best. And I do the same thing. Like I had this medical thing with my eye. I look back on it now. I go, thank God it's over. I'm really grateful that it happened.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you're in the midst of the suffering, you can do that? Or do you still find yourself overwhelmed at times just going, dude, seriously, this level of suffering?
It depends on what it is. I do struggle with like everything happens for a reason, because I take the approach more of, man, sometimes just crap happens. Okay. I don't know if there is necessarily a reason per se, right? Or why should something bad happen to this person? Like, but I do feel like we all have struggles, like you pointed out. I don't care who it is. A lot of times we don't see those struggles. And so, we get this picture of people that really isn't accurate. And we really do need to, like, social media is a highlight reel, right? Man, if you want to get depressed, go on social media and look at how great people's lives are and go and compare it to yours. You can't do that kind of stuff. You've got to realize that everybody has problems. We just don't see a lot of them. But I've always been one of those people where I was like, hey, this is happening, whether I wanted to or not. What can I do to get through this? And how can I learn from this, make the best of this, and keep moving on down the road, right? That doesn't mean that what I'm going through doesn't suck. I mean, when you're in the heart of it, yeah, it does. It sucks. But I don't know. I don't think everything happens for a reason, because I have a hard time like trying to figure out like, why some kid that's 5-year-old just died. I don't think that happened for a reason. I think that just sucks. But out of a situation, a horrible situation like that, can the people around them learn something from it and do something good from that? Yeah, I think they can. But does that make sense?
Of course it does. It's like I like to play in this space because I don't feel like spirituality, if you can call it that, you can call it emotional resilience, emotionality, if that's even a word, psychology, sociology, neuroscience. All of these things are the dojo of the entrepreneur, because it's really simple. All you have to do is make money. You just get someone to pay you to do something. It's not that hard. If you can find someone, dude, there are 1 million people on Fiverr today that are charging a certain amount of money. All you have to do is find people that are willing to spend more than that amount of money and talk to you. And then you just hire those people on Fiverr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you own a graphics design company. You just don't have any clients. You own an internet marketing company. You just don't have any clients. It's that simple. I mean, it's that simple. You can buy stuff on eBay for less than you sell it for to other people, or in garage sale. Like it's not that hard. What's hard is your hip hurts and you have a headache and bad thoughts keep entering into your head, and you keep fighting them like they're the Leviathan, but they keep winning, and you keep going strategy by strategy. Should I breathe? What is my breathing correct? More oxygen? Do I need to do more exercise? Is it an exercise thing? Is it a sleep thing? Why is it, it's like, that's the battle. The battle is this internal fight to maintain sanity in an insane environment. I mean, the sun is moving at 500,000 miles per hour around the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and you're a large evolved rat creature that's like trying to figure out this it's our situation is bonkers. It's bonkers. And then you actually start making some money and you realize, oh wait, that's not it. It's better. It's better in a lot of ways, but it's not it. That's not going to solve all your problems.
No,
It ain't gonna solve all. It's gonna solve a few of them, you know. So it is a wild journey to live this life anywhere near gracefully. You know, it's tricky. It's incredibly complex. And so when I have the opportunity to talk to people that are doing the entrepreneurial thing, which a lot of people look up to, you know, they go, if I could just, because they don't necessarily like their boss or they don't like being told what to do, and they want to be out of that sort of environment. Only to find that when you start your own company, you are in the business of collecting bosses. Like, you are trying to get as many bosses as you possibly can. Yeah. So let's fast forward in the final minutes we have together to what you're doing now, and give us the spiel.
Sure, I'll give you the Cliff Note version. So my company, Rialto Marketing, we're obviously I don't say we're an agency. We're really more of a marketing, coaching, consulting company. You know, we help service businesses primarily simplify marketing so they can grow with less stress. And we do that by helping them create and implement a plan to communicate the right message to the right people. That's what marketing is all about. It's about getting the right message to the right people that you can help. So many people struggle with marketing, you know, especially now. Like, when I was in distribution, I'm not going to say marketing was easy, but it was different. Now there are so many different marketing channels. I find so many people they're battling information overload, and they're overwhelmed. And when they feel overwhelmed, they just don't even know what to do. You know, they either don't do much, or they just start picking stuff and jump into action and wonder why things aren't working. And it doesn't have to be that way. So what we really focus on is the fundamentals. Get the fundamentals in place, which to me, the fundamentals are your target market. Who are they? You know, how are you going to serve those people? Your message. What are you going to say? How are you going to communicate your value to those people? And what is your plan to get that message in front of those people? To me, those are the fundamentals of marketing. They do not change. They're going to be the same today as they are 50 years from now. You got to have those as a foundation. Then you can start to get tactical and start taking action. But so many people put the cart before the horse. You know, we were talking before we went on air. You know, they jump on TikTok and they're like, well, that didn't work. Or, you know, they jump on Clubhouse. Well, that stuff's not working because you skip the fundamentals. Get the fundamentals in place, then you can start to get tactical. So that's where we help people, is get those in place, and then we help them manage that plan of what they're doing on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, so I wrote a book, and the thesis was everyone advertises. Like, babies advertise. They come out, what? Like, that's the ad, and they get everything they need. If babies didn't advertise, they would probably die or get like the terrible butt rashes, and you know what I mean? Like, like, it wouldn't be good. And it's annoying. The cry of a baby is so irritating. It's designed to irritate you, to make it stop. Like, make it stop. And so when, you know, companies first launch, that's kind of what you do. You're just as irritating as possible to as many people as possible before someone's finally like, here, just take the milk, just shut up. Let me see what you can do. Just shut up. I'm so tired of hearing from you. So, and most entrepreneurs can't be that annoying. Like, can you stand up there and just be a thorn in someone's side until they finally give you that chance? Like, fine, if you stop bugging me, I'll just take it. And then you get older and you realize, like, I mean, as a young salesperson, I mean, same thing until you get those kind of first clients rolling. But a teenager communicates differently than a baby does. An adult communicates differently, et cetera. And so as companies age, they communicate differently. You know, Louis Vuitton can have a billboard that just has an LV on it. You know, you can't do that when you're first starting out. No. You're like, what's this stupid? You just waste all your money. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know the drill. YouTube.com/SendItRising for the live show. If you're interested in the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, everyone listening to us there, we appreciate you and love you. If you want to do me a big favor, go to YouTube.com/SendItRising, hit the like button on this video, leave a comment for the algorithm. Tim, you did a great job. We really appreciate you having on the show. Backstage, we talked about 10,000 generations from now and those people listening. So why don't you say something to someone in 4612?
Oh my gosh. I hope everything is going well. I can't even imagine how much different your life is compared to ours. I'll never know, but I'll man, if you can send a message back to us, send it back.
It is fun talking to people in 4612. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for swinging by the show today. We'll see you.